A disturbing case from Pakistan is raising serious questions about the safety and rights of women trapped in abusive households, and further intensifies scrutiny over domestic abuse, child welfare protections and law enforcement oversight in Pakistan. Police in Pakistan's Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province say they have rescued a French woman and her 5 children after she alleged that her husband held them captive for more than a decade and allegedly subjected them to years of physical and psychological abuse. Pakistani authorities identified the woman as a 54-year-old, Sylvie Yasmina. Police rescued her from a mud brick house near the Afghanistan border. Investigators say her husband is now under arrest and faces questioning as the probe continues. According to Pakistan police, the breakthrough came when one of her sons managed to escape from the house and reached a local police station. Officers then launched an operation and removed the family from the property. Police say they shifted Yasmina and her children to a women's police station for protection.
Went through very, very difficult circumstances with my whole family. And I wanted to thank CCPO as well as DPO and the other officers who went to rescue us, and they took us out in a difficult, very difficult situation, and they were very efficient. And I have to be grateful for the help for our life. Very, very difficult. We went through really, really bad times since 2014.
As per reports in her statement to the investigators, she alleged that her husband routinely beat family members and controlled every aspect of their lives. Investigators say she told them she had been unable to live freely or communicate with the outside world since moving to Pakistan way back in 2014. She and her husband married in 2003 and lived in Australia until 2014 before relocating to Pakistan with their 2 older children. The police saying the children were never enrolled in school and had little contact with the outside world. Officers report that they found the family living in extremely poor conditions, observed visible injuries on the woman's face. Investigators also alleging that she described her husband as having an extremely violent temperament. And the allegations raise a lot of questions and serious concern. If a foreign national and 5 children could remain isolated in such a manner for years, how exactly did the authorities fail to detect this earlier? Did the neighbors never raise concerns? What really happened? And what systems were really in place to monitor the welfare of the children allegedly kept away from education for more than a decade? The police saying the woman wants to return to France. Pakistani authorities are reportedly coordinating with the relevant officials and the French embassy regarding her repatriation. Pakistan continues to grapple with violence against women. Overall, according to data presented by Pakistan's Ministry of Human Rights to the National Assembly, for example, more than 173,000 cases of violence against women were reported between 2021 and 2024, including nearly 8,800 cases of beating, over 2,300 cases of domestic violence, more than 16,000 reported rape cases. Rights groups say many such incidents still go unreported. Around 4 months ago, a major tragedy unfolded in Iran. At least 168 students and staff members were killed in an airstrike on an elementary girls' school there. While the Pentagon launched a formal probe, US President Donald Trump now wants the world to believe that no one killed those innocent people. Let's just take you back to the 28th of February, the first day of the US-Israeli war on Iran. The scenes were heart-wrenching, smoke billowed from the buildings, textbooks strewn across the rubble, countless body bags dotting the site, victims in body bags, textbooks strewn across. Iran raised a serious allegation over America as a Tomahawk cruise missile was allegedly used in the strike. Among the three countries embroiled in the war back then, only the US is known to possess this missile, while an initial US investigation also reportedly held American forces responsible for the school strike. Trump's stance has kept changing, even as the US Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, insisted that the outcome of the ongoing investigation will be disclosed at an appropriate time. The US president has indicated that the truth may never be known. Listen to this.
To the Minab school attack, sir. Could you tell us?
I have not seen it, no.
Well, why not?
At some point, well, I have to wait for it to be complete. I don't know that they're ever going to solve that problem. I mean, you can ask Pete, but I don't know that they're going to say it was one of our missiles. Pete, I don't know that they're ever going to solve that problem in terms of whose fault was it, because there were missiles flying all over the place.
So you won't accept
and it's horrible what happened, but there were missiles flying all over the place. And somebody said it was our missile. Well, maybe it wasn't our missile.
And while Tehran accused the US of intentionally targeting the school and dubbed it a war crime, Donald Trump initially blamed Iran for the strike, claiming that its missiles lack accuracy.
We think it was done by Iran because they're very inaccurate, as you know, with their munitions. They have no accuracy whatsoever. It was done by Iran.
Why was the school targeted in the first place? Reports indicated that this strike was authorized on the basis of outdated information generated by AI systems allegedly showing the school as part of an IRGC naval base reportedly. During the course of the war and the current negotiations phase, it has emerged as a deeply emotional issue for the Iranians, of course. Last week, a delegation comprising Iran's parliament speaker and the foreign minister arrived in Switzerland for talks on a plan with this message written on it, referring clearly to that incident. The Iranian football team also expressed solidarity with the school victims, leaving behind a handwritten message at the Los Angeles Stadium earlier. Following its FIFA World Cup match with Belgium, the team wrote, "The spirit of Iran remains alive and steadfast." And below that, it used those terms to refer to that school attack. The cost of the war for Iran also cannot be understated, of course. At least 3,468 people were killed as per the Iranian Red Crescent Society. Over 125,000 civilian units, including 100,000 residential properties, suffered damage. Around 339 medical facilities comprising hospitals, labs, pharmacies were also hit in the US-Israeli strikes, reportedly. Even educational institutions were not spared. Overall, 857 schools, 32 universities were also reportedly damaged in the attacks. Now, Trump's latest comment raises some serious questions. Are only American lives precious? Will accountability remain elusive for the innocent school victims? It remains to be seen whether the report's findings are made public amid the growing domestic disapproval of the Iran war in America as well. For millions of Indians, the passport is perhaps the most authoritative document issued by the Republic. It carries the name of India, it confirms the holder's identity, and is accepted across the world because foreign governments trust that India has verified the nationality of the person carrying it. And that is why the Ministry of External Affairs clarification has triggered a fundamental question among citizens. If a passport is not proof of citizenship, then which document actually proves that someone is Indian? The answer, however, requires nuance. The Indian government has clarified that a passport has never been considered proof of citizenship. It has also stated that no such policy change has been introduced recently or at any point in the last 12 years. The clarification coming a day after the Ministry of External Affairs emphasized that an Indian passport is strictly a travel document and should not be treated as conclusive evidence of citizenship. The statement has now opened up a wider debate over what exactly qualifies as proof of citizenship in India, a major question. During an event marking the 14th Passport Seva Divas, the ministry stressed that the primary purpose of a passport is to enable international travel and establish a person's identity abroad. In other words, it's a travel document. The ministry also pointed out that passports are issued only after extensive verification involving records from multiple government agencies. However, the government retains the power to revoke a passport if it is found that an applicant submitted forged documents or obtained the passport through misrepresentation. Legally, the government has drawn a very fine distinction between a passport being evidence of citizenship and being conclusive proof of citizenship. That distinction means a passport cannot be treated as an unquestionable document that settles citizenship beyond doubt. But this clarification has also created a major grey area. Section 6 of the Passports Act 1967 states that the issuance of a passport can be refused if an applicant is not an Indian citizen. This suggests that a passport is issued only after the state satisfies itself about an applicant's citizenship status. So the question many citizens are now asking is quite simple. If a document issued after detailed verification, including checks linked to citizenship, is not proof of citizenship, then what is? And that question has moved to the center of India's ongoing citizenship debate. The discussion intensified after the Election Commission of India began the Special Intensive Revision, SIR, of electoral rolls. Thousands of people stood in queues holding documents to prove that they are eligible to vote. After the massive exercise, 9 million people were left out in West Bengal alone, reportedly. Though it was not about citizenship, it was only about the eligibility to vote. However, the exercise brought renewed attention to different documents and their role in establishing citizenship. And then the issue of Aadhaar. Following multiple hearings in the Supreme Court, it has been established that Aadhaar is not proof of citizenship. It establishes identity and residency. A voter ID card is not proof of citizenship either. It only confirms that a person is enrolled as a voter on electoral rolls. Similarly, a PAN card is proof of financial identity and tax-related records in India, not citizenship. In February 2020, the government clarified in the parliament that citizenship is governed exclusively by the Citizenship Act 1955. The act basically defines who qualifies as an Indian citizen. It states that a person is an Indian citizen by birth if born in India on or after the 26th of January 1950, but before July 1, 1987. For those born after, citizenship by birth depends on whether at least one parent was an Indian citizen. Those born on or after December 3rd, 2004 can claim citizenship by birth only if both parents are Indian citizens, or if one parent is an Indian citizen and the other is not an illegal migrant at the time of birth. However, India does not issue a single universally recognized citizenship certificate to every citizen at birth. For decades, Indians have relied on a collection of documents, assuming together they represented proof of citizenship. And the Ministry of External Affairs clarification has now removed the passport from that commonly presumed list. No rules have been changed, just reiterated. And that has left people of India asking a basic but important question. How exactly does an Indian citizen prove that they are Indian? The question is being debated across boardrooms to cafes, WhatsApp groups. There is confusion, there are questions which need answers.